Well, I don't know what time it is with you, but it's 10 o'clock in the morning here, and I'd like to start off by saying Happy New Year. I hope 2020 is going to bring you everything that you would ever wish for. At the moment, we're hoping that we're going to get slightly better weather, that it dries out a bit and the visibility becomes better than what we've got at the moment. But I do hope you all had a really good Christmas and a break between Christmas and New Year, if you were lucky enough to have that. And of course, thank you very much for joining me again for the start of a new playlist. Very long playlist, I know, but once you sort of start on that one, I think this is the third year of a weekly video. Anyway, thank you for watching, and whatever this one's going to be, I hope you enjoy it.
I don't think I'll get much actual flying in this particular video because the forecast for between Christmas and the New Year wasn't very good. I knew that I needed to get a video out fairly early on because we were going down to the island to see the grandchildren. But just in case there was the outside chance of having a fly, it was a matter of making sure that the battery had a full charge. So we are lucky because the top cowl of the Jodel comes off very easily. So actually fitting the maintenance trickle charge battery charger is quite straightforward.
I don't actually know if I can do this, filming and open at the same time. There we are. Clubhouse is now open, although there's nobody about, nothing happening, and it's still pretty grotty outside. However many times I film the gradient, the slope of the hill, I never seem to really be able to capture it.
Some people have been asking for more ground shots, so while I was waiting for the others to turn up, I thought I'd take the camera for a walk and show you around. It also dawned on me that not only was it the start of a new year, but it was also the start of a new decade. I couldn't help wondering what the 20s have in store for us all. I wonder what your New Year's resolutions might be, and what your hopes and aspirations might be for the year to come. I would like to do a lot more flying. I've got lots of places that I'd still like to visit, and lots of things that I'd like to record for the channel. But the most important thing is to make the most of every single day, and I'll probably come back to that later on in the video.
If I turn now to look up the hill, that's what you got, but as always it tends to flatten it down. As you can see, those trees are really quite tall now. I thought I heard a noise down there. I wouldn't expect the badgers to be out at this time of day, but you never know. But this doesn't actually show the size of that bank. I mean, that bank has got to be 3 or 4 meters high, and bearing in mind last year I did that video showing where John did a really good job of putting that signet on the top of that hedge once the engine had stopped. I know a lot of people commented on that video.
After the event, John flew with me in the Jodel and explained exactly what happened and told me where he was when the engine stopped. I used this photograph to show what a brilliant job John had done in landing it on top of the hedge. Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't like the video on the basis that 15,000 people viewed it, but the vast majority were there just purely in the hope that they were going to see a crash.
That's the brow of the hill. probably at its steepest there. We do try to land on the slab and slightly to the left of centerline where it's flattest, but as you can see, those trees on final are fairly tall, and as I was saying, when John's engine stopped where it did, he managed to get it going first time, but it stopped again. I think most people would have frozen and tried to stretch a glide onto the runway, but that would have had fatal consequences, I am sure. But instead, he took the option of going right and did a perfect pancake on top of that hedge. You can hear the traffic in the background, but apart from that, it is very still, and it always is. A very special place. Blooming rabbits. This isn't going to do anybody's tail wheel any good. I did come over today in order to move aircraft around in one or more of the hangars, but when I first got here nobody else was about. I do notice that since I've been doing the walk, Super John has arrived, although we won't be able to say Super John for much longer because I understand he sold it. And here is the man himself. Good morning, John.
Father Christmas, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I've just been talking to the camera and saying that Super John was going to turn up here and we were going to perhaps move aircraft, but it's not going to be Super. It might still be Super John, but it won't be Super John for much longer, will it?
Luton John, I'm afraid.
Luton John.
Yeah.
Okay. So when's it going?
Hopefully Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as I've already said, today's weather is atrocious. Did you have a good Christmas?
I did indeed.
Brilliant. Excellent. Good morning, Martin.
Morning. Brought the model helicopter over.
Yeah, I think it might be that.
Probably the safest.
It's still a bit squelchy, but not quite as bad as it has been. But it doesn't look as if that mist is going to clear. Oh, I've cut your top of your head off. I'm sorry. Well, I volunteered to make the tea. No tea. I volunteered to make the coffee. I've come to exactly the same place as I was a week ago. If I have a little move around, there's the stile that was underwater. And as the water came out of there, it was like that mountain torrent that I was talking about. And now what have we got? We've got just a very slow moving water course. I'll film it from the other side just to make the comparison. And if you look at the difference in the height of the water, I think last week it was probably 2 meters deeper than it is now. And certainly a lot faster flowing.
Another very nice Christmas present was this Gorilla Pod by Joby. It seems to be quite flexible, quite adaptable, and I'm looking forward to using this.
This is a fairly complicated shot. It's me filming me filming me. It's got these three, I don't know, very movable ball joint legs that can wrap around things, but it also means that I can hold it at arm's length and it's quite easy to use. And if I now swap this round and move on there to that shot from the Panasonic video camera, it's a far more comfortable position, and yeah, I'm very pleased with that.
We did drive down to the Isle of Wight to see the grandchildren, therefore I wasn't able to film the going of the Seeper, but thankfully John filmed it himself.
Well, here we are on very early Monday morning at Neyland, and unfortunately the barriers are still locked. It's I don't know if you can see from there, but it's a very foggy day, and this is the day the Seeper's meant to leave its home to go to its new one, so we'll see what happens. Well, there goes my Seeper. It's finally leaving Neyland. Bloke's just getting ready to go, and yeah, a bit better than this morning.
Well, it's New Year's Day, and there's an update on the update. I came over to fly, but unfortunately it's going to be too misty. We've waited for ages, it's not going to lift, so our hope to fly on the 1st of January 2020 isn't going to happen.
As we move into 2020, I'm amazed at the power of the internet. Some of you may have seen the video where I flew with John, the flying reporter, and like many of you I've been following for some time. Well, it was as a result of a shout out he gave to Stefan Drury that I started following Steph's channel, and some of you may have seen that I was lucky enough to meet up with him last year at Aero Expo. And as a result of one of his videos, I quoted this as a comment. Not a New Year's resolution, but a good comment to keep in mind. It says, "What happened yesterday is history. What happens tomorrow is a mystery. So make the most of the gift of today, and that's why they call it the present." Like many, this is especially true for me. At one stage, I wasn't even sure that I'd make this decade. I don't know if you know, but in August 2013, I had 2 heart attacks. These grounded me for 6 months. I had to do a whole barrage of tests to prove I was fit enough to fly. But something like this that happens to you does make you tend to value each and every day. We moan about the weather, we moan about all sorts of different things. But sometimes I have to stop and remind myself just how lucky I am to still be here doing what I love doing and sharing it with all of you. Thanks Duncan for this bit of film you gave me this morning, and yes, I was able to use it in this week's video.